ladies and gentlemen, to the MailRite Show. Today we are going to be talking about Chime. Jonathan has queued up some notes for those of you who are on the mail-right.com channel before we just jump right into it. My amazing co-host is a website developer. He has many companies that he's built. Maybe many is a slight over-embellishment, but a few is not. And he's incredibly well-known in the WordPress space. He's also developed some incredible tools for real estate, which I have finally done a deep dive and look for, and can say that he's done some really cool stuff with the MailRite system. So having said all of that, for anybody that might not know you or anything that I may have missed, John, why don't you go ahead and add that into the show right now?
Yeah, thanks, Rob. I'm the founder of MailRite. We supply really quality websites to you, the agent, where you want your own branding based on WordPress, which drives almost 43+% of all websites. And we also provide a series of marketing tools to make you a more effective agent online. Over to you, Robert.
Okay, so today we're going to talk about Chime. Chime has kind of taken the real estate world by storm in a weird way, because in my opinion, what they managed to do is take some of the major strengths of most of the bigger systems, and then they created a slightly cheaper version of those major strengths. Okay, like they about half the price of some of the leading platforms. They probably sometime we're looking at like, and this is a guess. I am not saying this really happened. I'm saying I am guessing that there were a couple developers that look like Sync and Boomtown and the $1,000 to $1,500 a month that were getting charged for a CRM, and said, wow, they're not doing anything that incredible in terms of their back end. Let's go ahead and build a system that does all of the same things, but we will charge $500 for it. And then they were looking at the way that these real estate websites were designed and saying, well, that's not all that complicated or robust. Let's just go ahead and build something that's slightly prettier, that focuses on local neighborhoods, and we'll go ahead and build out a system around it. And then they built Chime. That's my overall thoughts about it. John, what do you think about that?
I think you're spot on, really. You put that much better than I was planning to say, as normal. So, yeah, I think that's about it, really. I think I need to put my prices up for MailRite and reposition it a bit, really, after doing a bit of a dive and Chime. That's something we need to discuss, Robert. Yeah, I think it's also they've really thrown in the kitchen sink, haven't they? It's a bit like a review of Real Geeks last week. It's a combination of Real Geeks and Line Desk, all kind of all together, really, because it's got dialing, automatic dialing. It's got a very extensive list of functionality. So that was one of my feelings about it, but I don't know if I'm being unfair there. I don't know what you're feeling about what I've just remarked.
Well, I think that they've done a decent job in all the things that they've put into the system. They still haven't built an SEO friendly site, which they claim that they have. They really haven't. So I'm disappointed that they are using that language. Their sales team is using that language. Many of the clients that have used Chime are using that language. What I am excited for Chime, the main thing, and I did a little quick review, like a 10-minute thing, and I deep dived it off a video of somebody else on YouTube showing the platform, the back end of the platform. It was an hour-long video. Some agent did it.
Yeah, because you got to ask them for a demo, and that's basically what I did. I did do a substantial dive on it by watching other people utilizing the interface on YouTube, because I didn't want to approach them for a demo, really. So that's what I did. But I did spend a bit of time looking at a few videos. So I think I got a good understanding of what they're offering.
And they've done, here's one of the things that I like about Identifies. They've done a better job than any other provider out there, except for maybe the Bold Leads team. I really love the graphical interface of everything that Chime does. They are giving you this impression that they're easier to use because they use bold typeface. They are using iconography across the site. It's easy to believe that they've done something better and simpler based on their dashboards and the overall usability of the product. They haven't really done anything different than anybody else, though, which is
Well, I just want to tell you the thing that I think is the weakest element of this.
please.
What you've just pointed out, I don't actually think is the weakest element, because I actually think people overplay that it's got to provide something new. I think having things that work but have a better usability and a better interface, so you don't have to spend so much time learning it yourself. And then if you've got new agents or part of your team coming on board, you don't have to spend so much time onboarding them or paying somebody else to onboard them. So just that element has a benefit. So I don't think it's necessary to have anything that is that different. You just need to do it better, which in some ways I think they have, because I agree with what you said. The area where I think their weakest point is the website. And the websites they provide, they're not terrible. We did a general review on some of the other play. I forgot the one when we were doing a round robin of about 5 or 6 CRMs. And I forgot the last one, what you did it on. And their websites were pretty grim, I felt. It was from the same people that own ITX Broker, strange enough. The websites these people are giving in look, they're not terrible, but they look a little bit old fashioned to me, a little bit behind the time.
Right.
And the website look only lasts at best up to over 2 years, maybe up to 3 years, and then it is going to start looking dated, because web taste and web design moves quite rapidly.
Right.
So that, and the other thing is there, which you touched on and you're the expert on, is that I find their SEO claims to be well exaggerated and pretty over the top, really.
Right. So I think that they've got, so you are correct in terms of usability and what they provide. Like, I don't want anybody listening to the show to think, oh, there's nothing here. There is something here, in the sense that Chime has managed to do as good of a job as, let's say, many of you using Boomtown would. Like, if you're a team 1 through 5, you might look at Chime. You'll get some of the same back-end functionality as you would get for $1,000 a month. But both Boomtown and Chime and Sync have added a lot more integrations. They've got a fuller, more robust system. They've been around for more years. So if you have a large team, there's absolutely no doubt you got to be with Boomtown or Sync. No doubt. Or KV Core.
Well, or they go with your solution with Follow Up Boss. Because I actually think, what you're offering on the SEO, and you combine it with Follow Up Boss, you've got a pretty powerful, flexible solution. And Follow Up Boss has got a much better interface than this. And it's more focused. It doesn't throw in everything that Chimes does or Line Desk. But it's pretty, for its purpose, I would say it's best of breed. And then they can combine it with what you're offering.
Well, it's kind of funny, because up until a week ago, I was told you, actually, I don't agree with that, and sent them to Boomtown. But we did just build out, we finally finished our team or agent module. So now we can build microsites and have leads get routed back to the agent, and all the other fun pieces of functionality that exist with these other providers, sold data for each individual agent. So actually now at this point, I can provide a large team solution and have it.
And can you, because I don't know how robust Follow Up Boss's API is. Can you? But they seem it seems a pretty robust one, and they seem helpful, or they're prepared to get into partnerships. So would it be that difficult for you to integrate your own solution with Follow Up Boss's API?
Well, there's already a two-way integration available. That's easy. That's not hard. Making the integration work for a whole bunch of different agents universally, I've not attempted that integration yet, so I can't really speak to it. I can say that the theory is that they're capable.
Because I'm not so keen. It's back and forth. See, the only problem I have with having, I know it's great benefit for the provider, and their argument why the user should like it is they've got one interface and they're dealing with one vendor, blah, 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 and isn't that great? But I think it's very difficult to be top of class on every element. So I think you don't want to over fragment, have too many vendors. But on the other hand, having all your eggs in one basket with one vendor, I'm not keen on that either. So I think there's a middle road. I think it's sometimes the idea that there can be just one Swiss Army knife and it does everything and it's the best. I've got to be honest with you, Rob, and I'm not saying I'm right or wrong. I'm just being how I feel about it. I personally feel that's semi-delusionary.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree. Like, trying to be so I've always said the same thing about you, about me, about InboundREM. When you're dealing with a small or medium-sized company, you need to stake out your main area that you're going to be good at and stick with that, whatever that is. So I'm inbound marketing and SEO. Those are my primary focuses. The website and everything else is ancillary. I'm an inbound marketer at heart, and I'm an SEO guy, and that's what I stick with. Now, those are big, huge, categoric things to be good at. The other companies that are out there, like whoever it is, like Boomtown, to me, their category should be, we are a large team CRM management company that can build your team at scale. If I was them, I would change all their marketing around, but nobody wants to listen to me. But I think that's what they do really well. They should say we can do these other things in certain circumstances, but if they just presented themselves not as a one size fits all, but as a very specific provider, I think that would lead to a happier customer base, which I think is important.
Yeah, I think you're totally right. I think we need to go for a break, Rob. And then I got a slight thing that I disagree with you that you said at the beginning. Not disagree, but a different focus. So,
sure. Well, without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, John and I are going to go to break. We're going to have tons of coffee, a couple cigarettes. We're going to get together. We're going to talk about each other's life. We're going to have some lunch, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to sit down with all of you amazing folks again and talk to you a little bit more about the most important topic that you're going to hear all day long, Chime. All right. Thank you so much. We'll see you in a second. 3, 2, 1. All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. It's episode number 340 of the Mailrite Show, and I am just cracking John up today. We are talking about Chime, and to nobody's surprise, John is about ready to disagree with me.
So I didn't disagree. It was just how you framed the beginning, because it's really interesting where you come from a different perspective. You can have a different attitude to something, because you were coming from Boomtown and Zinc, always pronounce it incorrectly. And you were saying that Chime is a cheaper version, where when I was looking at it, I thought, blimey, the prices here are a bit steep, because I was looking at it as the kind of Real Geeks bold leads type of, or Easy Agent Pro, where I'm trying to pitch Mailrite they're our main competitors, right? I'm trying to pitch my service, my product into that soup. But you came from it from a totally different framework, because you saw it as a competitor. So that I found that interesting.
Yeah, I did come at it from a different standpoint. And ladies and gentlemen, for all those people listening to the show, there's some interesting things. Like one of the examples that was done on WhoQuest from my I'm going to call him a friend now because I just spent like an hour and a half with him prior to the show today. But Brian Adams, who's this amazing technologist that builds WhoQuest like as a hobby, and it's now one of the most trafficked websites that's out there for real estate. Anyway, he listed a semi-custom example of a WhoQuest site. Now, what that is that a designer by the name of Sherry Young came in and designed the site and then built it on top of the WhoQuest CRM. So basically create a design, and then all the leads theoretically that are coming from this design would then go into the Chime CRM. And that's pretty cool. It's a slow like process, like it's a slow site.
But you still got the fundamental problem that we described with some of these other SaaS based, is that you really would be not advised to really build up a lot of content and backlinks and do all the grind work, or hire people, hire you and your team to do all this SEO work, all this grind, building it out so you dominate your local market on somebody else's property. You're leasing, you're not owning. You're not fully owning a WordPress, but in some ways you are, because you can just move it to another provider. There will be some hurdles to jump through, but it's possible and doable. And a lot of people do it, and you're somewhere else. Well, if you're doing this on Boomtown, or you're doing this on Charm, or you're doing this on any of the, or Real Geeks, or any of the platforms that we're discussing, investing real energy and real time around SEO, you really, really should be advised you can't do that on somebody else's platform that you don't own.
That is correct. So I agree with that. Chime is using a lot of technologies that are making the site practically unreadable. I'm looking in Ahrefs, looking for ranking on one of their prime examples that they've used, and there is no ranking. There's not even ranking for the agents' names, which is crazy because that's pretty easy.
It's bonkers. It's bonkers, isn't it?
Yeah, like WordPress, like even John and I, all we have to do is put an about page with the agent's name, and most likely we're going to rank for at least that. Everything else might be a little bit more complicated, but usually ranking for an agent's name is a no-brainer. It's not happening on this site that they're using as an example. It's slow. It's not mobile first. The list of problems, like challenges that happen on the site, are extreme. It is basically a poor man's version of a branding site. So it's probably not quite as sophisticated or good looking as Luxury Presence. It doesn't work as well as some of these other systems. It's slower than KV Core, which already has a slow rating for me. So
see, I'm not interrupting, because we've got another 5-6 minutes.
Sure.
The other problem I think they've got, which you've just mentioned, I think their problem. I saw one of their major problems. You just said it, KV Core. Because I know KV Core have been very aggressive about doing special deals with brokerages, virtual brokerages, more established brick and mortar brokerages, franchises. They've really been heavily discounting, and then the brokerages have been offering it to their agents with a monthly fee, but at a lower price than traditionally KV Core. It's, the KV Core website is awful in branding terms. I don't actually know what your feelings compare, because that could be a show on its own, but what are your feelings about KV Core, just to end the show? What are your feelings around KV Core compared to Chime?
Well, KV Core, I mean, its advantages, which have been like widely lauded by many, many people, its advantages is they've built one of the better mass agent adoption platforms. Like all the guys at EXP, Kyle Handy, they all kind of press KV Core because it's one of the less expensive. Like for $25 an agent, you can get a microsite built up onto a platform that's fairly fast, that connects into a CRM, that has decent functionality. It's a little slow, it's a little clunky, but you're still only spending $500 a month, and you can add agents ad nauseum. It's not very good on the design side. You're not going to get any miracles in terms of design. You'll just get a solid real estate site that you can run a large team off of. But the fact that it is solid, the fact that it does have a lot of functionality, the fact that it's in the cloud, which makes it more expandable, more options added in real time to the rest of the platform. They built their technology in such a way they are able to pivot a little bit better than everybody else in real estate. And they built a massive company around that very basic principle that they've built in the cloud. It's easier to pivot and adjust. Their costs are much lower, and it's reflected in the price, which is another clever thing that KV Core did, is that they have a lower price per seat and a lower setup price and a lower website price than any major competitor.
So would you agree that KV Core is a bit of a problem for Chime?
Oh yeah. Yes.
I don't see it as quite a problem with Boomtown and some of the others, because I kind of see them as really even slightly higher than, well, kind of KV Core kind of merges. But that, when I was looking at Chime, I kept thinking, this ain't bad, but your problem is your price with one of your main competitors, which is KV Core.
Correct. Now, having said all that, one might ask, because I think you pointed out something, and I definitely want to end, because it sounds like every time somebody asks me about Chime, it sounds like I'm doing a hit job, and I'm not. You did bring up a really good point in the beginning of the interview, one that I'd like to revisit. While Chime isn't necessarily doing anything unique, what they have done that is worth noting to everybody listening to the show is they do have a better user interface than many of their competitors. There's no doubt. For some of you, depending on what kind of business that you're running, that might actually equal money. That might actually equal revenue. An ease of use factor could play heavily into whether or not you want to use Chime as a CRM. All right. I don't want to minimize what they do well. It's not fair. They also have integrated a lot of features, as John also pointed out, like lead scoring, drip campaigns, solid landing pages. Now, do I think they do any of these things in like best of class? No, I do not. Does that mean that they might not be a good provider for some of you? No, it doesn't. Like John also pointed that out. Does it, like, just because they're not the best, does that mean? No, because you know what? You could be using Boomtown, which could do some of these things the best. And you know what? I'm still going to recommend Robly as your email editor, your email campaign person. Like, marketing has become fragmented. And if you wanted best in class in each and every single thing that you
did.
just
to finish off, just to end, because we need to wrap it up.
Okay.
Is that it's, you just touched something. There seems to be a struggle. There is a struggle between best of breed, like you just mentioned, Robly for your email, and then there's providers that say, well, we've built it all, one interface, one ring, one price, does it all. You don't have to buy all these separate things. You save money, you onboard people once, and you're just dealing with one provider, and it's so much better. And but you just don't get the best. But it depends. Have you got the experience? Have you got the motivation? Are you in the position to make use of best of breed anyway. See, it's complicated, isn't it, Robert?
It is. And you bring up a lot of good points. So here I think that I finally managed to put in my head a final recommendation. Who is best for Chime? New teams, people, because John did, if you're trying to figure out what you need and what you want, this is good of a place to start as any, because it's easier to use. The bar between you and success in terms of understanding how platform works is less. Are you going to get the best website? No. Are you going to get something you own? No. Are you going to get the best CRM? Meh, maybe not. But you're also not paying for the best. You're not paying the price. And it's got definitely easier to use than KV Core and every other platform that I've reviewed. It's easier to use. There's something to be said for that, except for Follow Boss. So you got that. Okay, well, we got to sign off here, ladies and gentlemen. John has been pretty gracious. I was late. My bad. He had a big schedule for us today. So as always, I'm going to say thank you so much, John. For those of you that would also like to thank John or anything, you can go to the Mail-Right YouTube channel. You can drop a comment on any of the videos that are there. You can go to the mail-right.com website, schedule an appointment with John. If you're exploring real estate websites and you're looking at things like Real Geeks and Easy Agent Pro, you should definitely add Mail-Right into your review calendar and see if how you feel about their product. You'll get a website that you own, which is a major difference between those other things. John, did I miss anything? Would you like to add something?
But you know, if you're into SEO and you're really in, you know, you're doing well, but you really want to put gas on the fire and really go really big, you need to talk to Rob and his team, because that's what they're about. You know, putting your established power team or boutique brokerage, and you want to go and put the fire, you want to put gas on the fire and really grow. Rob and his team are the people to talk to.
You're awesome, John. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we so very much, we really adore you. Thank you for listening to the show. You are the people that make our world go round. Tune in to us next time. We're going to have a really cool, exciting show. I think the next subject that we've got coming up is we're going to be talking about Boomtown. So we're looking forward to seeing you on that show.